Can't miss the story of Armenia. New Armenia is voting for a new prime minister, might be Nikol Pashinyan, who have come to power after the peaceful protests, which were very, very active in spring, and so it was a democratic procedure. We know that still there is just 48% people who were coming to the polls, voters, according to the chairman of the Central Electoral Commission, that was Tigran Mukuchan, said. We should say it was less than it was previously. I also should say that what is interesting that so far the polls had been closed a bit more than an hour and a half ago. Yet there are no preliminary results yet. There are no like these kind of polls. However, we were looking before that My Step Alliance, that is a party of Nikol Pashinyan, had chances, according to the previous surveys, to get more than 60% of the votes. And as I understand, we should have already online with us Armen Minasyants, who is a board member, secretary at Article 3 Human Rights Center. Armen, good evening. Do you hear us? I would ask again to say, Armenak, do you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. So let us know this is a historic day for Armenia, what we should know about the elections today. Do you know anything about the preliminary results? So what the audience need to know?
Thank you a lot for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to join up today's evening on Hromadske and to share a bit what's happening around Armenia. So as of now, we just started the vote counting process, which is going to last probably over the night. And as of now, we only have the results of the turnout among the population. So it is only 48.63%, which is a bit low if I compare it to the results that we had during the last year parliamentary elections, where the results were around 61%. Nevertheless, the key idea behind the elections itself, the snap parliamentary elections, it is much more about just putting clearly getting the vision and the values of the Velvet Revolution, the peaceful, non-violent Velvet Revolution in Armenia, which took place actually in April and May of 2018, right at the place, and to get already to the parliament. So the parliamentary snap elections, they have been manipulated for some reasons by different political parties before the elections. Nevertheless, the elections, the snap parliamentary elections, are truly historical. And in my personal perception, they are going to be historical overall for the entire post-Soviet region. Having said that, I basically mean that the elections are truly democratic, absolutely transparent, open, fair, and the results are not going to create any type of manipulation among the population of Armenia. So they are going to reflect itself, the general vision within the society. And probably the elections itself and today's like the procedure and the process of elections, both the pre-campaign and also what's happening up right now, like the vote casting, all the process of citizen participation, the civic participation in the elections, they are all going to indicate how important was the revolution for Armenia to put the country back on a truly democratic tracks. On a tracks there, the society and the citizens and the government are living in a harmony. When the elections itself mean not just going to the polling station and casting a vote, but no, like having a possibility to choose among the political variety of the country. And generally speaking, I mean, the elections in Armenia, like no matter how the results would be, lots of people are arguing now that everything is very predictable, that the results are easy to guess, even for the foreigner, for an external observer. Nevertheless, I mean, the elections itself, the importance is much more, in the sense that this is really a first occasion since 1991, since the collapse of the Soviet Union, that the Armenian people voted for exit the Soviet Union. It is actually the first time ever in last almost 30 years that Armenian citizens are going to the polling stations. They participate in truly democratic and transparent elections, which are taking place in completely democratic environment, with no electoral fraud, with no vote buying, with no corruption cases, with no oppression, and without any intimidation towards the citizens' vote.
Armenak, my question would be that, I think I don't want to mislead our audience, because we showed some figures, and those was the figures of the preliminary kind of preliminary polls, not on the elections date, but earlier, where the chances of the Nikol Pashinyan party, My Step Alliance, were really high, beyond 60%. We don't want, obviously, to speculate. Still, and any analyst would say that his party is now currently dominating. What you would say, is there any real political opposition today to Pashinyan? And he was in power for about 6 months. So how we can also assess what he had achieved? Because there is always, after some kind of, even if it's a peaceful and velvet revolution, there is always some kind of the disappointment. And if it's already an democratic leader, he should be kept accountable also on what he does to the economy, what he does on a lot of other issues. So what do you say? Who is the balance to Pashinyan? Does the Armenian opposition exist, and what are the most important issues for him?
Yeah, it's a very good question, actually, when it comes to the opposition in Armenia, because even for us now living in Armenia and dealing basically with the civil society, with students, with political parties, and generally with the academia, like we are always coming up to the question, do we really, as of now, have an opposition in the country? And my reply would be both yes and no. It depends how we try to understand the role of opposition in a country. Prime Minister Pashinyan, like he has previously had the experience of like being a political opposition for the last 2 decades, almost 20 years, in different capacities, leading the street protests, afterward leading up a newspaper, afterwards getting to the parliament, leading the entire Velvet Revolution. So he had an extensive experience as an opposition leader. As of now, he's trying a new head of the prime minister of a government, and he's doing it for the last 7-8 months. Nevertheless, when it comes to the existence of opposition, it's a good question. I believe our political system is now in a turmoil as well. We definitely need a strong political opposition, which is going to bring not only like slogans and just stating and shouting as loud as possible that we are the opposition, the only existing opposition in the country, but truly a political party which can bring a new political brand, a party which can bring a new political context and content to the society. So as of now, for these elections, it's very difficult to say. I mean, we have obviously a party participating, the representatives of the previous regime, which was in power for the last 20 years and was majorly described by the international outlets as an authoritarian regime, the Republican Party of Armenia, which is publicly stating that they are adversary of Nikol Pashinyan, the only existing and functioning opposition. But when we look to their campaign as an opposition, the campaign was built up only in indicating what Pashinyan has not done yet. And the other political parties, we have like in total 11 political parties participating in the elections. I mean, the other like 8-9 parties, like the thing is that, they are balancing, they are voting around. It's very difficult. I mean, in the situation to stand up and to say like, I am against the revolution. I mean, Pashinyan is leading still the revolution bloc. The people like who were on the streets, like these people there on the photo, like now running for the parliament, many of them. And that creates a natural, organic situation. Whenever you say like, I'm against Pashinyan, it means you are against the revolution. And, it rings the bell at some extent that some of the people are not finding them comfortable, even though they have like a differences with the views and visions. Nevertheless, the good point and fair point here is to state that the political system in Armenia is getting to the better shape. Like the titans, like this old-fashioned, like the last Mohicans of Armenian politics, like the parties which were in the parliament for the last couple of decades, they are leaving the stage. And we are getting a completely new parliamentary setup. So, and generally also outside of the parliament, because most probably we are going to have up to 4 parties, and the preliminary results are indicating that up to 4 parties would be in the parliament. Nevertheless, the culture, the political culture is changing. So we, for the first time, we got a party which was for the social democrat ideas, and like manipulate, not only like stating, but generally prescribing all the program around the social democrat ideas. We had completely liberal parties. We have a nationalist parties. We have a pro-European party, like publicly campaigning for the closer ties with EU. We have a radical party. We have a conservative party participating. So basically the huge political diversity is presented over the elections. And for the voters, for the electorate, like they have a possibility now to choose among the brands, which is like a very big achievement at all.
Okay, so thanks a lot for that analysis, and we'll look forward to know about the results. Thanks a lot for being with us live from Yerevan, and I also should say you can follow our Twitter and all our newswire to see the results.